For more on this now and to look at what Burger King's impact on the quick service restaurant sector will be, Doug Smart, General Manager of the Southern and Emerging African Business at Yum! Brands International, joins us in studio right now. Thanks so much, Doug, for joining us today. Well, let's just start there. We've seen the kind of excitement we've got Burger King entering the South African market with. What impact do you foresee its entry having on the quick service restaurant space?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one because I think Jose correctly identified that we still see the market as a growing market. So from our perspective and the way we see it, it's still growing. And in many ways we welcome a new international competitor. So somebody who's a big brand name, brings news to the sector, brings news to the category. Of course, we're used to, as KFC, we're used to competing with Burger King in many markets around the world. And I think it gives the consumers choices, it gives them new experiences, and it tends to raise the game on the whole sector.
Mm-hmm. When you look at the South African market, Doug, when you see 100 meals that have been served in the last 10 minutes, for example, just in Cape Town, of those 100, how many are chicken-based and how many are burger-based? Let's give an idea of how much catch-up the burger has to play in this country. Yes,
look, I mean, obviously at KFC we don't sell beef burgers. I couldn't give you that old dimension on the category itself. We do know though that chicken just fares very well in Africa. Chicken is a very popular protein. Fried chicken in particular fares very well too. And so we do see the burger game as being a slightly different to our offering. Obviously we offer chicken burgers and Colonel burgers, etc., but it's not a beef patty.
Having said that then, I mean, KFC a little further in terms of its product offering from Burger King as opposed to the likes of Steers under the Famous Brands umbrella, for example. Some would say your operation not as threatened by this entry.
Look, I would think that's fair. I would think that's a fair comment. My observation in other markets where we've operated is we've tended to see McDonald's and Burger King and perhaps some local players slug it out, the burger wars as such. And on the side you may have some of the other brands, in some markets it might be Taco Bell or KFC. And so it is not, we don't see it as a head-to-head for ourselves. And I suppose another reason why we probably see it as good news, it kind of grows the category, it grows talkability, people try things. And Burger King operates in many countries. They will do the job well, they will raise the game on the market here.
What happens though, Doug, with the competitive nature of the market? I mean, Burger King to me are coming in a little bit late, but because of their international brand and how well known they are, even though they haven't been in South Africa yet, they're going to do extremely well. But how does it play out now from KFCs and McDonald's and all the Famous Brands? Does it become a pricing war, or does it become a war of product, if you like?
Yes, look, it's an excellent question. I think Burger King are saying they're coming to the market at exactly the right time. KFC has been there for nearly 42 years. And our own experiences in African markets, sub-Saharan African markets, is that when you go early, especially if you're pioneering, it is a different game. It's much harder. When you enter an established market, as I would describe South Africa to be, there are positives and the negatives. The positives are the supply chains already established, there's already a strong retail sector, consumers are quite savvy. The negatives, I suppose, a lot of the prime real estate is taken up by the other players, and you're coming last to the party, really, in that sense. So there's definitely pros and cons for them. Sector-wise, we still see there's enough growth in the sector. We don't anticipate to see really any impact, especially a lot is going to count on how fast they can grow. We're at 700 stores. They're opening their first. And this year we'll open another 50 in South Africa. And it takes a while to develop that kind of organizational capability. It doesn't just happen overnight.
So you talk about footprint there. Lindsay mentioned product and price as well. Where does quality of service fit on those rankings?
It's a big piece. It really is. It's absolutely a category norm. I'm not sure how often we refer to it over here as QSR, but that's how it's referred to around the world, quick serve restaurants. And implicit in the Q and the S are speed and service. And so, good service, hospitality, effective drive-throughs, people who serve you well. So it's definitely a differentiator, and it's something we're working very hard on. And quite frankly, we're not where we want to be. We want to just keep getting better at this until we basically very, very good, untouchable in service.
Doug, are you immune to the macroeconomic situation in South Africa? Unemployment going up to 25.2% officially, obviously a lot higher unofficially. The GDP rate being static at best. What happens when this happens in a macroeconomy? Does your business stay flat? Does it actually go up because people not dumb down, but sort of trade down a little bit from what they might normally eat in the evening or lunchtime? How does it work with you?
You hit it on the head there. I think we're not at the bottom, I suppose, of the. So let me back up a step. I always see food as being defensive. So people kind of always eat, right? And then you know, at your basic level, you're eating at home or you're buying staple products, and then you have this hierarchy of eating occasions. And what we find with QSR is that we're not at the very bottom, and clearly we're not at the top. So what happens is, as the economy goes up or down, we have people coming in from the bottom or in from the top as we lose people. So we have found that you know, subject to massive macros, we tend to fare fairly well. And so, as you say, while we might lose some of the very affordable value sector who cannot access our brand anymore, we'll tend to gain from people who trade down from, say, casual dining.
Well, we've got the World Economic Forum on Africa, certainly putting Africa in the spotlight again, and there's no question that Africa as an investment destination is holding its own. It's got 50% of FDI related projects since 2007 coming through specifically in the service sector related activity, you know, or that segment of the market.
Yes.
Are we seeing the growth in private consumption rising just as fast as investment is?
Yes, I mean, that's an interesting question. And you know, if you're talking about South Africa, where you've got quite an established market, you know, I think often by its very nature, the investment is a leading indicator. You'll have the investment, and afterwards you'll have the consumption. So in our case, Alicia, definitely in continental Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, we're seeing the investment precede the consumption. Whereas in South Africa, in our particular business, we're seeing a very well-established pattern, a very well-established machine. For example, when we invest in a store, we can predict very closely how it's going to do. You know, the factors are all well known. Wow. So we can very accurately predict, if you like, our return on that investment.